Hi, everybody. Welcome to is it the third? Yeah, this is the second last lesson and the third last session of the free web development bootcamp from Bad Website Club. I can't believe we're almost here, friends. If you're joining in for the first time, hi, my name's Ramon. My friend Jess and I are running this series of free bootcamps to help get us over that hurdle of perfection when we're learning to program or learning to make websites. So a couple links before we get started. First of all, there's the YouTube channel. If you're seeing this and you're like, oh gosh, this sounds really fun and I missed all of it. No, you didn't. This is all self-paced. You can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@badwebsiteclub. You can go ask any questions in the forum that you might have in bit.ly BWC Bootcamp forum. If you want to join the conversation on Discord, I'm just grabbing all these links. There's the Discord channel here at bit.ly BWC Discord invite. And finally, the schedule for the remaining 1, 2, 3 sessions of the bootcamp itself, which you'll find here on the Bad Website Club website. Cool. So what are we doing today? Today, we're going to be doing CSS transforms to animate and draw a cute little penguin. Let me take us right in. As always, friends, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, just feel free to interrupt me and we'll just work through any questions we might have. So start with the first exercise. So this is what we're going to be drawing today. A cute little penguin that's waving, which says, I love. Oh, what? If I click on it, it gets bigger? I did not know it did that. I totally prepared for this. All right, great. Let's just jump right in and start coding. We'll be building a happy flappy penguin and further exploring CSS transforms and animations. So we're going to start. Usually I skip this step, but let's just build our doc type with our HTML tag. And inside that HTML tag, we'll have a head as well as a body. And we need our meta elements. So we'll have meta char set equals UTF-8. Perfect. Then we've got our meta, and I already forgot how to do the viewport, but that's okay because we learned yesterday that I know how to look stuff up on the internet. Here, I'm going to share this in the chat because I think it's really helpful to have always. Great. So if we scroll down here to MDN, they've got this pre-made tag for us, which is exactly what I need. So I'm going to copy that. So let's delete all of this and paste. Amazing. So the last thing we're missing is our title element. So what is this? Title element. Let's call this penguin. Why not? Cool. Oh, what are we missing? Oh, you know what? I forget the lang every time. If you're wondering what this is telling folks, hey, this website is in English. And this also tells like the browser so that it detects the language automatically. You know how your browser will sometimes offer to translate websites? I bet that's involved. Great. So let's check our code. Oh, but we're getting there. Oh, whoops. I set my head to lang when it really should be the HTML element should have the lang property set to n. Still not there. Oh, look at that. Viewport, content width, device width. Initial scale. Here it's 1, the one from MDN, but Free Code Camp wants 1.0. So I'll just adjust that accordingly. I don't know if that makes a difference, but like they want. Oh, and I forgot to link the CSS. Well, I'm going to be here for a while. So styles.css. Bless you. The rel is set to style sheet. There we go. Whew. Okay, that took me that took me a lot longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. We're done. We'll pat ourselves on the back. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Great. So now we're going to start doing some CSS. We're going to target our body and give it a background set to be a linear gradient that is at 45 degrees, which starts at RGB 118. Goodness, I can't type today. 201, 255. And ends at RGB 247, 255, 222. Cool. So we don't see it yet. Oh, whoops. I targeted the body selector when I should target the body itself. Cool. So now our code passes. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So now we're going to normalize our page's sizing by removing the default margin and padding of the body. Margin set to 0, padding set to 0. Amazing. All done. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Oh, the new bear from yesterday. So this bootcamp is free. Free Code Camp is free. If you want to, if you can donate to them $5 a month. I'm doing this from a separate account. This is my teaching account, so I'm going to have it ask me later. But don't feel stressed and don't feel pressured. So 100%. And the height is going to be set to 100 VH. Cool. That's all done. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So we're going to remove both the horizontal and vertical scroll bars using only one property. Do you remember what it is? I think, I could be wrong, it could be overflow hidden. Let's have a look. Hey, nice. So anything that overflows, it's not going to be scrollable. It's just going to be tucked away. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Cool. Now we're back in our HTML. We're going to add a div with a class set to ground. So check our code. Pat, pat. So we're going to style that ground element now to have the width take up the full width of the viewport. So that's 100 VW, viewport width. And the height is going to be 400 pixels. We don't see anything yet, though, because we haven't put any content. We haven't put any styles in it. It's just really just the width and height of it. Great. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So let's see what's next. What we want to do is give the ground element a back. Oh, we're going to give the ground element a linear background. So let's do that as well. Linear gradient set to have 90 degrees clockwise. Why do I keep pressing a plus instead of a 9? My goodness. Degrees. RGB set to 88, 175, and 236 for the first color. And the second color is going to be RGB 182, 255, and 255. Cool. So that's done. It looks kind of skyish, though. I wonder if that's correct. Let's see. A background of a linear gradient of 88, 175, 236, and 182, 255, 255. So that should pass. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So as the ground element will be the third in the stacking context of the page layout, let's set our Z index to 3 and its position to absolute. Friends, excuse me for 1 second. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Cool. So Z index we're going to set to 3 because it's going to be third on the stacking context of the page layout. And its position is going to be set to absolute. Great. So nothing changes yet because we're not stacking anything on top or around it. So that should pass. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So above our ground element, we're going to add the penguin. So this is going to be a div with the class set to penguin. If I could type correctly. There we go. Amazing. This div will contain Flappy Penguin. Great. Super short. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Fantastic. So the width and the height of the penguin will be set to 300 pixels. We're not going to see it just yet because we're not drawing any colors or backgrounds, so we're just establishing how big it's going to be. Pat, pat. Cool. So now we're going to use margin to horizontally center the penguin element and set the margin top to 75 pixels. So margin top is going to be 75 pixels. And we're going to set the margin to be 0 and auto. So what's going on here? We're setting the vertical margin to be 0 and the horizontal left and right to be auto. Then we're overriding the top margin to be 75 pixels. So there we go. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Oh, cool. So now we're going to add some scenery. We're going to have a left mountain div. How exciting. All done. Pat, pat. And we're going to target that left mountain element, set its width, if I could spell that, to be 300 pixels. And the background is going to be another linear gradient. Look at all these gradients we're drawing. RGB of 203, 241, 228, and ending at RGB 80, 183. Notice there's no direction of the gradient, and 255. Cool, that looks, and I don't see it yet, and I suspect that that's because we don't have a height yet. So let's check our code. It does not. Oh, width, width and height. Y'all gotta call me out on this. I'm not reading today. There we go. Now we have a width and a height. Amazing. So does it pass? And it does. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So to prevent our mountain from pushing our ground, we're going to adjust its position to prevent it from taking up space in the page layout. Now, I believe that's going to be position absolute. I could be wrong. Let's find out. And it is. Fantastic. So now you can see, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell from the gradients, but here's the mountain, and behind it is the ground. Cool. Pat, pat. We'll keep going. So we're going to use, to make the mountain look more like a mountain, we're going to use the Skew transform function, which takes 2 arguments. The first being an angle to shear the x-axis by, and the second being an angle to shear the y-axis by. This sounds very mathy. We're going to play around to make sure I understand it. So we're going to use transform to use the Skew transform function. So the first property is going to be the x-axis shearing, which is currently set to 0 degrees, and 44 for the y-axis shearing. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so you can see that it's now kind of skewed. It's along the y-axis, it's at 44 degrees. Let me just see what happens if I set it to 90 for the y-axis. So it's gone because we've kind of like sheared off the entire y-axis. What about 180? Looks the same. What about, I'm bad at math. How much is 180 plus 45? It is 225. So back to looking like this. Let's compare that real quick to 45 degrees. It's the same because we're skewing it along the same direction. But, okay, that's y-axis. What about x-axis? Let's try 45 degrees for skewing along the x-axis. And notice now it's skewing along this direction. So this is to take the content of our div and just skew it. Sort of like, actually, do you know what I might try, friends? I want to try putting some content in here. And let's put in H1, hello world. Now this is going to help me understand it a lot better. So if I remove my skew, or if I set it to 0, 0, you can see, there we go. If I set it to 44 degrees, notice the hello world is tilted that way. Let's try it now the way that the exercise intended, 44 degrees. Now it's skewed that way. Cool. So that's what we're doing with our div, and that's to start making it look kind of like a mountain, which I think is quite cool. Does that pass? It does. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So we're going to set the stack level of the mountain so that it remains directly behind the ground. So if it's behind, it needs, remember the ground has a z-index of 3, so the z-index of this is going to be 2, directly behind. Amazing. Pat, pat. Oh, look at us just blazing through these exercises. So we're going to overlap the mountain and the ground elements better. We're going to give the mountain a margin top of 100 pixels and the ground element a margin top of negative 58 pixels. Cool. Let's see how that's going to look. So first the ground. Nope. Sorry, the mountain is going to have a margin top of 100 pixels. So you can see it's moved down already. And the ground has a margin top of negative 58 pixels. So that means, believe it or not, friends, that it's going to actually move up. Did you see? It kind of moved itself up. And since the ground is in front of the mountain, it just covers it. But notice now that we moved it up, there's a little 58 pixel wide. Can you all see it? Yeah, there's a 58 pixel wide gap here at the bottom. So I'm sure we're going to do something about that. But for now, pat, pat, let's keep going. So give the effect of a mountain range. We're going to add another mountain by creating a new div directly after our left mountain. And we're going to call it back mountain. Cool. So div class equals back mountain. Doesn't change yet, of course. No content, no nothing. So pat, pat. Now we're going to start styling it. So our back mountain is going to have a width and a height. Remember, I'm on a width and a height of 300 pixels. And the background is going to be, you guessed it, a linear gradient set to RGB of 203, 241, 228. And the second color is going to be another RGB of 47, 170, and 255. Amazing. We can see it there already. It's pushing stuff around, so we're going to have to fix it with some position absolute, I'll bet. But for now, pat, pat, let's keep going. And there it is. So we're going to set the position to be absolute. So now everything's back in place. It looks, everything is back in place except this mountain. I bet we're going to move it around a little. But for now, pat, pat, let's keep going. So the stack level of the back mountain element, it's going to be directly behind the left mountain. So that's a Z index of 1. Cool. All done. Pat, pat. Y'all expected something exciting, but sometimes it's just, chill stuff. So now we're going to rotate our mountain by 45 degrees clockwise. Then we'll give it a left property of 110 pixels and a top property of 225 pixels. So I guess we're going to want to transform rotate. I think we did this yesterday with Jess. So rotate by 45 degrees. We're going to give it a left property of 110 pixels and a top property of 225 pixels. And look, there it is. So now it's rotated by 45 degrees. We've moved that left by 110 pixels, and we've moved it from the top by 225. Remember, the bigger the top value, the bigger the top value, the further down we push it. So it's how many pixels from the top and how many pixels from the left. So that passes. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Hassan's here. Hi, Hassan. Good to see you. We are drawing a penguin using HTML and CSS and Free Code Camp. So to finish our background, we're going to add the sun immediately after the back mountain. So div class equals sun. And I bet, my friends, that's going to be it for this little exercise. Are we done? Yep. Pat, pat on the back, and we keep going. Whew, look at us just blazing through these. Remember, if I'm going too fast, please let me know. Also, remember, you can go back and watch these on the YouTube channel. Cool. So the sun is going to have a width and a height of 200 pixels. Height of 200 pixels, and a background color of yellow. Whew. Okay, that moved a whole bunch of stuff around, made a bit of a mess, but I bet we're going to fix it in a bit. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So the position is going to be set to not take up space in the page layout. We already know we do that with position absolute. And we're going to set the border radius so that the sun's shape is a circle. It's going to be 200 pixels. Yeah. Learner says when we use the top left and bottom CSS property without the position property, sometimes it feels strange. Yeah, I get that too. Oh my goodness, I'm silly. I shouldn't give it a 200 pixel border radius, but rather one of 50%. That makes sense. That way it's turning into a circle. Marvelous. Learner says 100. Apparently it's 50. Cool, so we're done. Pat, pat. Great, so now we're going to position in the top right corner of the screen so that it's 75 from the top and right. So the top is, if I could spell it correctly, is 75 pixels, and the right is set to 75 pixels. So now it's going to be right there. Very cinematic. I like it. Are we good? It does not. The sun should have a top of negative 75. My mistake. There we go. Oh, give this on a right of 75. Oh, so that 75 pixels of its top and right edges are off the screen. So we're moving it off the top by 75 and off the right by 75. Silly me. There we go. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So, back to the penguin. So the penguin's going to have a class set to head, div, and the div set, penguin head, pardon me. Penguin dash head. And the class here is set to be penguin dash body. Cool. There we go. Penguin head, penguin body. Insider penguin. Makes sense. Is it good? Not bad. Let's keep going. So we're going to change the stack level of the penguin so that it appears in front of the ground element and give its position of relative. So position set to relative, and the Z index needs to be on top of the ground. So Z index. And if we want that to be on top of the ground, remember the ground has a Z index of 3. So we want our Z index here to be 4. All done. Still don't see the penguin yet because it's not have any content, but we're going to fix that in just a moment, I'll bet. Amazing. Oh, and here we go. First, the head of the penguin. So the width is going to be half the width of its parent, so 50%. And the height is going to be 45% of its parent. The background will then be set to be a linear gradient at 45 degrees, starting at gray and ending at RGB. Here we go. 239, 240, 228. Well, so far it's a robot penguin. We'll fix that in just a moment. But for now, pat, let's keep going. There you go. Most penguins do not have a square head. So we'll give the penguin a slightly oval head by setting the radius of the top corners to be 70 and the radius of the bottom corners to be 65%. So border radius is going to be 70% and 65%. So it's kind of like, it looks like a circle, but it's not quite. It's kind of got like a roundish oval-y thing going on. But that was wrong. I was supposed to set it to 70, 70, 65, 65. My bad. 70, 70, 65, 65. I see what's going on here. So this is the top is a little bit rounder, but the bottom has kind of like a chunky cheek thing going on. I can relate. Cool. So that's all done. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Next, we're going to target the body of the penguin. Penguin dash body. 53%. A height of 45%. A background set to be a linear gradient at 45 degrees. Color, the first color is RGB 134, 133, 133. From 0%. This is getting to be a little bit long. So you know what I'm going to do, my friends? I'm going to put this on multiple lines, which is totally okay to do. Then we're going to have this RGB color. I'm going to go ahead and copy it because I'm a little lazy. So this color from 25% and white from 67%. That doesn't look quite right, and I bet I'm wrong. Pat. Cool. I guess we're going to make it look more penguin-esque later. Another interesting fact about penguins is that they usually do not have square bodies either. So we're going to set the border radius to be 80, 80, 100, 100. So border dash radius set to be 80, 80, 100, 100. I'm putting commas when I shouldn't be. That's my mistake. There we go. So you can see it's got like a bit of shoulders, and then the body rounds out at the bottom. Amazing. Pat, pat. Look at that. We are 34 steps of the way. Once again, this boot camp is free. Free Code Camp is free. If you can, if you want to, send them $5 a month. You can do so here. I'm doing it in my learning account. This is more of a teaching account. So I'm going to go with Ask Me Later for now. But as always, there is no pressure. Target all descendants of the penguin element and give them a position of absolute. So everything inside penguin, so penguin star, is going to have a position of absolute. I hope this is correct. It is. Pat, pat. Something happened there. I bet the next step is going to tell us. And there we go. The penguin head is going to have a top of 10%. So it's going to be 10% of the way down. And left 25% of the way, if I could put the colon there properly. So it's moved off to the side there. Great. Is that done? It is. Pat, pat. Look at us doing art. It's starting to come together. Cool. So the penguin body is going to be 40% of the way from the top and 23 point, very specific, 23.5% of the way from the bottom. There we go. Looking good. Check our code. Pat, pat. I bet we're going to do some Z index stuff. And there we go. The stack level of the penguin head should be in front of the penguin body. So the Z index of the head is going to be, let's give it a 6. And, that should be it, right? Oh, this is a relative Z index, my mistake. So it's going to have a Z index of, Z index of 1. Cool, because that's still above the Z index of the body. There we go. Pat, pat. Moving right along. Now we're going to give the penguin the body of the penguin a crest, which is that sort of like feathery fluff in the center of the chest. So we're going to create a pseudo element that is the first child of the penguin body element. A pseudo element, if y'all remember, penguin body is going to be the before element. And the before pseudo element of our penguin body is going to have a content set to be an empty string. What we're doing here is telling the browser that we want to render this pseudo element despite not having any content in it. Otherwise, it's not going to show. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Now I bet we're going to add some proper styling. So we're going to, oh, say £7.84. Good to see you. So we're going to position the pseudo element relative to its closest positioned ancestor. So the position is going to be set to relative. Don't see anything yet. Oh, penguin body before a position of absolute. My mistake. Absolute. I got thrown off by this word. There we go. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Great. So we're going to give it a width and a height, both to be 50%, and the height is going to be 45%. And the background color, oh, we're going to finally see the color of it. It's going to be gray. So there is our pseudo element. Amazing. Whoop, I was about to pat, pat prematurely. There we go. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Great. So the pseudo element is now going to be 10% from the top and 25% from the left. So now it's more in the center. Now it looks like it's wearing a little bib. About to have some very messy soup. So we're all done. Pat, pat. Ah, Jessica says pat, pat. Hey. So we'll submit and move on to the next challenge. So now we're going to make our crest round, because right now it looks like a bib, but we're going to make it look more like a feathery crest. So we're going to give the bottom corners a radius of 100 and the top corners 0%. Remember, these go in clockwise order. So our border radius is going to be 0%, 0%. So far, so good. 100%, not 200, 100%, not $100, 100%, and 100%. Now it's got like a cresty thing going on. Are we good? We are good. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So now we're going to set the pseudo element's transparency by 30%, but we want to increase it. So we'll make the opacity set to 1.3. Is that correct? It does not. You should give the penguin before an opacity of 70%. So it was 40 by default? Okay. So 70%. But transparency, oh my goodness. I thought friends, you'll need to understand what was going on in my head. I thought it said increase the pseudo element, make it even less transparent, which doesn't make sense. If it's 100% transparent, it can't get less transparent. Sorry, if it's 100% opaque, it can't get less transparent than that. But yes, make it more transparent by 30%. So decrease the opacity, which remember is the opposite, by 30. Sorry. My brain just did not process that. Pat, pat. Let's move on. Great. So now we're going to start the penguin's face by adding two elements inside the penguin head div. And they're both going to be called face. Interesting. Okay. Class equals face. Let's copy paste that because I'm lazy. Look at me being so lazy. So two face divs inside. Are we good? Yeah. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So both of our face elements are going to have a width of 60% and a height of 70% and a background color of white. So now there's two very, very distinctly white squares on top of each other. And believe it or not, that passes our code. Pat, pat. We'll keep going. So the top corners of the face will have 70% radius, and the bottom ones will have 60. Remember, once again, these are in clockwise order. So the border radius is going to be 70%, 70%, 60%, and 60%. So there we go. There's our face elements. Amazing. Are we done? Yeah, pat, pat. Let's keep going. So both of our face elements are going to be 15% down from the top. So top is going to be set to 15%. It moves them down a little. Believe it or not, that's all done. Hey, pat, pat. Let's keep moving. So currently our two face elements are on top of each other. So we're going to add the class of left to the first one and right to the second. So left and right. Now, not much is going to change yet, because of course we haven't done anything with those classes. So, pat, pat, let's keep going. So the face element with the left class is going to have its position to be left 5% from the parent. So now we're finally getting some movement. Does that look good? Oh, whoops. It should be, let me explain to you what mistake I made here. I targeted the element with the face, with the, step back. I targeted the element with the class face, whose child has the left element. If we want to target an element that has both of these classes, there should be no space. So this is targeting an element that has both the class face and left. Now you can see it moved a little. Amazing. Pat, pat. Look at me making mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. So the other face, for the first time, we're not going to use left. We're going to use right and set that to be 5% from the right. So now we've got, it looks like two very big eyes. If any of y'all are familiar, it kind of looks like Sonic the Hedgehog eyes. Amazing. We're all done. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Great. So now we're going to add a new dev element with the class set to chin. So nothing changes yet. Remember, we haven't done anything with this div. Pat, pat. We just declared that it exists. Next, we're going to give our chin a width of 90%, a height of 70%, and a background color of white. Boom. There's our big, a very big square chin. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So our chin element is going to have 25% from the top, 5% from the left and the right. But we need to position it, which means position is going to be set to absolute. Then we're going to have the top set to 25%. So now it moves down. We're going to have the left be 5%, so it moves over to the right. Then the top corners are going to be 70 and the bottom to 100. So border radius is going to be set to 70, 70, 100, and 100. Look at how that, I was not ready for that to line up perfectly. Amazing, so we have a chin now. Are we good? Pat, pat. Let's keep going. You know, friends, it's a bit dark today. I'm just going to turn on the light real quick. 2 seconds. I'm so sorry. Hi, sorry about that. Yeah, just need to, I was starting to feel a little bit like the light was in my face of the screen. Cool, where were we? Face and chin elements are gonna have some background color. We're gonna create a custom CSS property called PenguinFace. Remember, this is a variable. So, and set that to white. So I'm gonna have in our root, a new variable called PenguinFace. And set that to be white. Is that correct? Oh, it's 1: for root. My mistake. There we go. There we go. We've declared our first variable for this project. Pat, pat. Let's keep moving. So where relevant, we're going to replace property values for your PenguinFace variable. I don't know why I'm pointing at me. I'm not a penguin. So let's scroll down. Okay, here we're using the background white, so we're going to set that to var. Remember, that's how we access a variable. Double dash penguin face. Cool. Back to white here as well. Var set to be penguin face. So we haven't really changed much beyond extracting a variable that we can go back later and change. This is called refactoring, cleaning up our code so it becomes easier to maintain. Amazing, pat, pat. And we can move on to the next exercise. So our chin is going to have two div elements, each with a class set to eye. Why would the chin have eyes? I was not ready for that. Cool. Div class set to eye and left. And our div class eye and right. There we go. So we don't see anything yet. We've just declared that these divs exist. We good? We're not good. We should add. My friends, I can't read. It says below the chin element, not inside the chin element. Oh my goodness. There we go. I'm sorry. I promise I can read. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. Amazing. Pat, pat. So, note to self, chins don't have eyes. So, within those eye elements, we're going to give each of them a width of 15%, a height of 17%, and a background color of black. There we go. There's our eyes floating off of our body. Kind of creepy. Pat, pat. I bet we're going to position them and make them round. Yep. So our eye, the top is going to be 45% for our eyes, and our border radius is going to be 50% for all of them. So now they're circles. Amazing. Pat, pat. Look at that, friends. We've done 59 steps. We're not even, we might actually have some minimal homework. So our left eye element is going to have a left set to 25%. And the eye right is going to have a right set to 25%. Look, our penguin has eyes. Oh, and it's cute. Amazing. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So within each eye element, we're going to give them an eyelid div. Div class set to eye-lid. Are we going to be lazy and copy paste? You better believe we are. Cool. We don't see anything yet because, of course, we haven't done anything with those eyelids. Pat, pat. Great. So we're going to target those eyelids themselves and give them a width of 150%. Interesting. So now the eyelids are going to be wider than the eyes themselves. A height of 100%. And the background color set to be var penguin penguin face. Should be good, right? Well, now the lids are covering our eyes, which I bet is not quite what we want, but pat, pat, I bet we're going to fix that shortly. So both eyelids are going to be 25% of the way down from the top, 25%, and negative 23% from the left. That's to position them a little bit outside. Then we'll give all the border radiuses 50%. Look, oh, it's got a little happy eyes now. Love it. Pat, pat. So below the eye right element, we're going to add two more elements with a class of blush. So these are going to be little blushies on our penguin. So div class set to blush left. and div class set to blush right. Cool. So there's our two divs, blush left, blush right. We don't see them yet because we haven't styled them yet. But for now, pat, pat. We'll keep going. Oh, look at how quickly we're going. Once again, free code camp is free. This boot camp is free. If you want to, if you can donate $5 a month to them. Don't feel stressed. Do it when and if you can. I'm doing this on a separate account for learning. Cool. So, ask me later, we'll move on to styling our blush elements. Give them a width of 15%, a height of 10%, and a background color of pink. There they are. There's our little blushies up on. Have you ever blushed so hard that you've blushed rectangles off your face? Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Amazing. So, we're going to have a top of 65%. And our border radii or radiuses, I don't know where we landed on this, is going to be 50%. So now they're a little bit now centered in our face, in the penguin's face, pardon me, and rounded out. Amazing. Are we done? Pat, pat. Friends, I'm just going so fast. Do please tell me to slow down as well. I just get excited. So our left blush is going to be 15% off the left side of the face. There it is. And the right blush is going to be 15% of the way from the right. There it is. Blushing on each side. That's very cute. How are we doing? Pat, pat. Amazing. So below our blush right, we're going to give it the beak. Ooh. So there's going to be two divs called beak. One with a top and a bottom. Interesting. Okay. Beak top. And div class set to have beak bottom. How's that looking? Now hold on just a minute. Where did our penguin go? Within penguin head? Am I within penguin head? I should be. Expected 9 elements. Below the blush right, add 2 div elements, each with a class of beak. Also give the first class element a class of top and the second one a class of bottom. Okay. Now what did I do wrong here? Div class beak top. Did I close this? Oh, there it is. Forgot the little / here. That is much better. Now you see how much one tiny typo can cause chaos? Don't panic if this happens. You just gotta do what I did just now. Just be like, huh? And look carefully. It takes patience. It takes time. But amazing, we fixed it. Pat, pat. Let's style our beak. Or beaks, I should say. So both our beak elements are going to have a height of 10% and a background color of orange. The border radius or radiuses or radii. The border, the several parts that have a border radius. Yeah. Will be 50%. We don't see it just yet because remember there's no width. Pat, pat. But I bet we're going to fix that in just a moment. So the top is going to have a width of 20 and the bottom is going to have, and have a position of 60% from the top and 40% from the left of its parent. So beak top is going to have a width of 20%, position absolute. Oh, do I need the position absolute actually? I don't think I do. Hold on. No, I don't. Top is going to be 60%. And the left is going to be 40%. Amazing. Now it looks like it's got a little nose. Cool. Pat, pat. Now I bet we're going to bring in the bottom beak part to really bring it all together. So beak bottom is going to have a width of 4%, not 40, 4%. Oh, hold on. Give it a width 4% smaller than that of beak top. So 20 minus 4 is 16. This is a really good exercise in like reading instructions. 5% further from the top, so top is going to be 65%, and 2% further from the left, so the left is going to be 42%. Look, now it's got like a little smushy Tamagotchi duck-like face. Hello, fellow 90s kids. Pat, let's keep going. Great. So right now the penguin body looks a bit plain, so we're going to give it adding a div class element of shirt immediately before the penguin body. So div class set to shirt. Are we going to dress up the penguin? Oh, I'm too excited. Pat. Ooh. So we're going to, within our shirt element, we're going to add a div with this emoji as content. My favorite emoji, the purple heart. Great. We're all done. It's floating off here, but I bet we're going to position it. Pat. And we're going to add a P element in here with CSS. I do CSS indeed. I closed a div when I should have closed a P. There we go. Amazing. Pat. So we're going to target our shirt element, set the font size to be 25 pixels. The font family is going to be set to Helvetica with a fallback of sans serif and a font weight of bold. Look at that. Coming together. Pat. Amazing. Let's keep going. So in some browsers, the heart emoji may look slightly different from the previous step. This is because of some of the character's properties were overridden with the font weight of bold. Fix this by targeting the div with the heart emoji and setting its font weight to its original value. Okay. So targeting the shirt div, set its font weight to be the original value. What is the original value? Tell you what, let's go on MDN and find out. Font weight. So this documentation should tell us, there we go, normal. That is the original value. Let's give it a try. Normal. It's going to look the same for me because I guess in Chrome, it's not overridden. But hey, did we do it? We did. Pat. So we're coming close to the top of the hour. I do want to keep going just a little bit until we do our first animation. Is that okay with everybody? Because there are like 100 and something lessons here, exercises here, and I do want to give you all some homework. But I'd be cheating if we didn't do just a little hand wavy thing. I hope we get there soon. So we're going to position the div with a heart and emoji. Top is going to be 22.5 pixels from the top, and left is going to be 12 pixels. So now it says I heart CSS. How lovely. Pat. Cool. What's next? The shirt is going to be 100. The top is going to be 165 pixels from the top. 120. Left is going to be 127 point, very specific, 5 pixels from the left. Now it's behind the body, so we're going to set the Z index so that it appears above the penguin body. Does anybody remember what the penguin body Z index was? I believe it's the same with the penguin, which is 5, so we'll set this to be 1 because it's relative. Yes, I did remember. Amazing. Is that good? It's good. Pat. Cool. And for the shirt's final touch, we'll set the color to be this one here. I'm going to copy paste it because I'm lazy. So color is going to be this. Remember, this is the text color. Great. Check our code. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So, fun fact, penguins cannot stand without at least 2 feet. So within our penguin body, we're going to add 2 def elements, each with a class foot. First one having also left. And the second one, class set to be foot right. Cool. No, we don't see the feet yet because we're going to pat, pat, go ahead and style them. Cool. So both our foot elements are going to have a width of 15%, a height, if I could spell that correctly, of 30%, and a background color of orange. That makes sense. We're going to have the same color feet as the beak. So they're still off here, but I bet we're going to fix them up. Pat, pat. Great. So both the foot elements are going to be 85% of the way down from the top. 85, not 6. There we go. And all the corners are going to have a border radius of 50%. So now they're rounded feet. Already looking great. Pat, pat. So we're noticing, see, we notice that the penguin's beak and feet are going to be set to the same color. So we're going to create a new variable called penguin picorna, which I'm guessing is this, and replace all relevant property values with it. So penguin picorna set to orange, sorry. Let's go down to orange. Here we go. Var penguin picorna. Oh, am I going to be lazy and copy paste? Yes, I am. How devilish. Amazing. So nothing changed. Remember, we just extracted a variable. We just refactored a little bit. I almost patted. Now I can. Pat. Cool. So now we're going to target the left and right feet. So foot left is going to have 25% left offset, and foot right is going to have right set to 25%. So there's our penguin's feet. Amazing. All done. Pat, pat. Look at that. We're 80% of the way. Oh, I really want to animate that arm, though. To make the penguin's feet look more, and yes, that is the scientific term, penguiny, rotate the left foot by 80 degrees and the right foot by negative 80 degrees. So that's going to use a transform with the rotate function for the left foot set to 80 degrees. And the right foot, I already wrote, right? Transform set to rotate negative 80 degrees. Oh, it's so cute. Okay. Amazing. My heart nearly died. So, pat, pat, pat. So we're going to change the order of the foot elements so that they're beneath the penguin body. So Z index is going to be 4, 1, 0, -1. Yeah, right, because the penguin body has a relative Z index of 0. So by saying -1, we're saying, hey, be behind the body, please. Pat, pat. Y'all are far too patient with me. And here come the wings. Oh, I'm excited. Cool, cool, cool. We're about to finish for today, my friends. So before the foot elements, we're going to have 2 elements set to have a class of arm left and arm right. Div class arm right. So we don't see them yet. Pat, pat. Cool. So we're going to target our arms, give them both a width of 30%, a height of 60%, a background that is a linear gradient at 90 degrees from clockwise, starting at gray and ending at RGB 209 to 210 199. Close that bracket. So there's our our arms neatly tucked into our chin. We good? Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So we're going to extract a new variable called penguin skin. I'm going to set that to be gray. We will replace all relevant property values with it. So let's go ahead and do that. Look for some grays, grays, grays. Where do I see gray? I see a gray here. Var penguin skin. I'll go ahead and copy paste that and put it everywhere else. Gray, 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 gray. Where are the grays? Here's one. And here's another. Amazing. Is that done? That's done. Pat, pat. So now we've extracted a new variable. So the left arm is going to be 35% from the top, 5% from the left, oh, hold on. Oh, the right arm is going to be somewhere else, of course. Arm right is going to be 0% from the top and negative 5% from the left. From the right, pardon me. So that's how it looks right now, and I bet we're going to do some more work here. But for now, pat, pat, looks good. I really want to animate that arm. So alter the origin of the transform function to be at the top left corner. Alter the origin. Okay, I'm going to need to look at that. Transform. Let's see what... I'm guessing we'll need to have origin. Origin? Just going to look this up real quick. Alter the origin of the transform function to be the top left corner of its parent. I'm not quite understanding these instructions. Oh, transform origin. Okay, that was my mistake. So, top left corner. So I'm guessing, actually, I'm going to take another look. Excuse me. Transform dash origin. Oh, there we go. Transform origin, top left. Oh, you know what this is for, friends? This is where the transform is going to start doing its thing from. Top left. So now when we rotate, we're going to be rotating starting at the top left of the wing as opposed to the center. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. But for now, looks good. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. So we're going to keep the linear gradient on the correct side of the penguin's left arm. We'll rotate by 130 degrees and then invert the x-axis. My goodness. Okay, so transform rotate. Wait. Don't we just want a linear gradient? Let's find out what the code wants. No, I was wrong. It was a transform. My bad. So transform rotate by 130 degrees. And we're going to scale it along the x-axis by -1. So that means we're going to flip it around. Look at that. It looks like it's waving. Ah, amazing. Cool. All done. Pat, pat. I think we're about to animate it. And then I can let y'all go have an easy rest of your day. Cool. We're going to rotate the arm, the right arm, by 45 degrees. Amazing. We're just going through all this, huh? Oh, counterclockwise, Ramon, you need to read properly. 45 degrees. That looks better. Amazing. Pat, pat. Nearly there, my friends. So the flippers are not naturally rectangles, so we'll set all the top left, top right, and bottom right to 30 and 120 for the last border radius. So border radius is going to be set to be 30, 30, 30, and the bottom left, remember we're going clockwise, is going to be 120 degrees. Oh, that looks so cute. Amazing. How are we doing? We good? Pat, pat. Oh, let's do the animation. Let's do the animation. Oh, cool. Yeah, so this bootcamp is free. Free Code Camp is free. If you see this pop up, remember, only if you can donate to them. Free Code Camp, $5 a month. If you want to, if you can. But you can come back and do it later. I'm doing this on a separate account myself. So we're going to change the arm elements to be behind the penguin body. So the Z index is going to be -1. Amazing. How are we doing? Pat, pat. We're going to do the animations. Okay, great. So we saw this yesterday a little bit. We're going to define a new keyframes called wave. How's that? Amazing. Pat, pat. Ah, I'm so excited. I hope I don't accidentally finish this. Oh dear. So 10%. I'm going to start at 10%, then go to 20, then go to 30, then go to 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and finally 90. If I could spell that. Amazing. How are we doing? Did I do that all wrong? You should add a 10% waypoint. Should these be... Okay, you know what? I can't remember how to do keyframes off the top of my head. So that's fine. We're just going to do that here. Going to look it up real quick. Oh. Wait, what? How do I have it increment by 10%? Oh. Oh, like this. My mistake. My mistake. So this is 10% brackets. Cool. Let's replace all of these with brackets. So these are styles that we're going to have at each percent along the way. I guess we'll need 100 too, huh? How does that look? Does it not pass yet? It should have 4 waypoints, Ramon. There we go. Cool, all done. How does it look now? Ah, pat, pat. So we've defined our keyframes. What's going to happen next? Cool. So at 110 degrees, we're going to, for the left arm left, we're going to transform, retain the scaling of the left arm. Am I doing this right? Oh, no, I'm just doing the properties. How embarrassing. So the transform is going to be set to rotate by 110 degrees. And the scale is going to stay at 1. Is that correct? Let's find out. Not quite. Oh, retain the scaling of the left arm. So we need to flip it by 110 degrees. As 180. We need to flip it along the x-axis. X-axis. Sometimes the wording can be a little bit tricky, but that's okay. That's what these hints are for. Pat, pat. Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry. I think I might actually finish this. Cool. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and copy paste here because I'm lazy, because we want to rotate to 130 and retain that scaling. Amazing. Pat, pat. Look at me being so lazy. And we're going to do that transform once more. So 110 and 30 and 130 at 40%. So that's why it's going up and down. Love it. Check our code. It passes. Pat, pat. Nearly there. Nearly there. Ah, cool. So how does animation work again? Oh, cool. So the animation name should be wave and should be last 3 seconds. Is that working? An animation name of wave, but found. Maybe I need to put this in quote marks. Let's go back to the documentation. Animation name. Animation dash name. We are nearly there, friends. Huh. It should be wave. Oh, the timing. Timing, animation timing. That's the problem. I forgot the animation timing function. Hassan says, make sure the same name as the keyframe. Absolutely. But my mistake was, I think it's in here. Linear. No, that doesn't seem right. Animation. Is it not the same? Keyframes wave. Let's try that. Animation duration. There we go. Animation duration of 3 seconds. Did you see that? An animation iteration count of infinite. So now it's going to wait forever. And an animation timing function. Function of linear. Amazing. We're done. Pat, pat. Let's see what else is left. I'm going to stop here for today because I'm 15 minutes over time. I'm so sorry. Cool. Now, y'all can take over from here. We've done 100 steps, 100 pat pats. We will stop here for today. Let's dive back out, see what's left. So we've done 100 parts. You've just got 4 steps left. So that's your homework. Your homework is always to just have the most easy day possible. Jess and I will be back later today to do a little bit of a partner stream. It's going to be fun. Don't miss it. If you're curious about the time for that, I will once again post the link to the schedule, which is what you see here. So we're on week 5. We are on that was our 4th last stream of this bootcamp. Later today, I said we've got the partner session with Couchbase. Tomorrow, we'll do our final project. And on Friday, we're going to do the closing party. It's going to be amazing. Friends, that's it for now. If y'all have any questions, I'd love to answer any. If not, in the meantime, I'll just look over a little bit of what we've done so far. So a couple of things about this bootcamp as we're wrapping up. Remember, if you want to claim your certification, it's not required to do every single lesson 100%. What is required is to do each certification project. Now, it's a good idea to try and solve these on your own, but if you look back at the schedule, we are covering these and showing how we would go about solving them, which I highly recommend checking out. But in the meantime, we're just going through all of these. We finished our last exercise session. Tomorrow, I said, is going to be our portfolio webpage. Tune in later today because I have an inkling we're going to do some painting, which is going to be great fun with Jess. But hey, I think that's it for today, my friends. Or sorry, for now. If there's no questions, remember you can always come and ask them on the Discord or the forum. Here's the link to Discord. Got it. And friends, I would also encourage you, if you're watching Discord and people are asking questions and nobody's answering them, give it a try. Maybe try answering one yourself. It's a great way to learn, to teach. Hint, hint. Great. Well, that's it for now. I wish you all the most wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you later today. If it's morning, if it's afternoon, if it's evening, just hope you're having just a big smile on your face and a relaxing time. Learning is hard and it takes time. So that's it, my friends. I'll see y'all later. Bye for now.